start the recording. Okay, fine. Good morning, one and all. So, welcome to today's lecture. This is lecture on Module 1, lecture number 4. So, in today's lecture, we'll be continuing up with where we left in the previous class, that is writing a program in the Python. So, before that, let me quickly uh, share the screen and we'll discuss what we have covered up in the previous lecture, and we'll start away from there. So meanwhile, you can be ready with your setup. Those who are using laptop or PC, you can use, and those who have no access to laptop or PC, there is an Android app for Python IDE also, right? So Python ideally, if you type on Google Play Store, you will find the uh, app for it. So you can execute these programs there as well. So Harshvardhan has also done it, and I would request if anybody has having any problem, you can approach me or even Harshvardhan. Right. So let me share the screen. Yeah. So in the previous lecture, we discussed about the simple the structure of the Python. We discussed about different types of data type. We discussed about different operations, that is concatenation operation and then replication, how replication can be done, how concatenation can be done using different instructions given, right? So we looked after a few of the errors that can be possible errors when you don't follow the format. Then we discuss about the assignment operator, the operations, how to store the value in a particular variable. We discussed this example, how a variable which can be considered as a container can contain any value and then can be overwritten if the same value is assigned with some different string or any other value, integer or a string, right? So we had an example of this, and we also discussed about few of the variable names, valid variable names, invalid variable names. We discussed about the camel case, how camel case is used in this particular book. So that is mostly the preferred type to name a particular variable. And these are few of the invalid variable names. For example, you cannot have hyphen in the name, variable name or placeholder. You cannot have space in between. It cannot begin with 4, any integer. For example, you can see here 4 account or 42. These cannot be the variable names, right? And variable name cannot start with a special character like a single quote or double quote. And we have also seen that the variable names are case sensitive, right? So this is the example of uh, how a camel case looks like, right? So this is a variable which is named like look like this, where you can see the first character is a lowercase letter and the first letter of second word is the uppercase letter. And instead we can use like this also, like with the help of underscores. But in this book, it is this format, the camel case format is what is used. So nothing wrong in using this format also, but just for the information that the author has preferred using the camel case to maintain the unity throughout the test book. Okay, so here we have stopped in our previous lecture. So before starting off with today's lecture we will be discussing about a simple program, and we'll divide that program, we'll dissect this program line by line, and we will see how these each instructions on each line are getting executed, what is the operation behind those lines, instructions that we are giving or expressions that we are giving to the compiler or our Python ideally, right, our interactive shell. And at the end of the lecture, maybe last 10 minutes or something, we'll have a understanding of the Google Classroom, because we will be continuing our lectures with the help of Google Meet and Google Classroom, and all our study material, everything you'll find, all the questions, all the assignments, all the study material, syllabus, textbook, everything, PPT or notes, everything will be under one umbrella, that is in the Google Classroom. I would suggest you to have that app downloaded later, not now, and you can make use of the link Let me share the link again, those who have joined late. So I'll make this link available in the chat section. So don't worry now, by the end of the lecture, you can join this link and be the part of the Google Classroom. But for time being, let us start with our first program in Python. So assuming that you all know about the interactive shell, what we discussed in our previous lecture, and I'm assuming that those who have access to laptop and PC will be doing these things along with me. So, and you have, I hope that you already have gone through few basic instruction, whatever we have discussed in our previous lecture, how to operate using few simple operators, using few integer values, characters, a few words, like we had an example of spam and X in those, right? So I assume that you all have done that small experiments and you have gone through the lecture once again, which was made available on the YouTube, and you are partly familiar with the interactive shell. And so taking forward the same concepts, the fundamentals, we'll have a small program, whatever we have discussed so far with respect to that, we'll have a small program. So let me start my Python ideally, our interactive shell. So apart from just the interactive shell, we'll also be requiring a file editor. Now this file editor can be a simple notepad plus plus or any particular notepad or wherever you write the code. But the Python interactive shell or the Python tool what we have installed, it inbuilt has a file editor in which we can write a program and execute it. Because you can see here, this is just an interactive shell, whatever command that will be giving or expressions that will be giving, it will be just showing that, you know, execution of those particular instructions, right? So when we have to write a full-fledged program, these are just the examples that I'm giving, what we can do in the interactive shell. But in case if we want to write a full-fledged program and execute that program in the single go, then we are supposed to write that particular program in a file editor and execute that file editor, so that whatever the output after the execution we have, we can uh, execute that program line by line, as in how we prompt the user to put the information on those things, right? So to open that file editor, we have to go to file and we have to say a new file. So new file or new window, maybe if you are using a older version of Python, it will say new window. But in my case, that is Python 3.8.5 shell, it is new file. So what we have to do is, I'll just simply close it again and redo it. We have to go to files and say new file, or simply you can say control N. So a different window will open up, which is untitled because it is not saved. We have not saved anything. And this is the place where we will be writing all our code, whatever the code, the program that we want to execute. And once we save it, after that we are going to come back to the shell, our interactive shell, and execute that file editor, and then we'll see what happens, right? So moving on, coming up with the program, today's program. So that's what the same thing is mentioned by the author here. The file editor, which is similar to any kind of notepad or any, for example, TextMate, right? So you can make use of anything, but Python provides its own file editor inbuilt in 3.8 at least. I'm not pretty sure about the below versions, but I think Python 3 there are file editor by default, right? So you can simply go to ideally the shell and say file, new window or new file, right? Like I mentioned. And the difference, how we can make it out from the Python interactive shell and the Python editor is, you can simply see the arrows here, right? The right shift arrows, three right shift arrows you can see. This denotes that this is our interactive shell, and the one with not having any arrows or anything, because the blank is what you will be able to see initially. So this is our file editor, and you can see it is untitled and star. Star means that it is not saved. The file, the program that we are writing in the file editor, is not saved, right? So let me close this, and first we discuss our today's program, what this program is all about, what it does, and what we will be understanding from this program. So it's a very, very simple program, just a simple program to prompt some message to the user, and also at the same time take some input from the user and display some kind of message back, taking that input. Right. So it's a simple printf statements involved, few built-in functions like input functions involved, and length function involved, which is inbuilt function. And we are just trying to interact with the interactive shell and the user. We are just trying to establish the a conversation between the interactive shell as well as the end user. So like the first line says, this program says hello and ask for my name, right? So whoever the user will be executing this program will be prompted with a hello message, and at the same time will be asked for his or her name, right? And it will, like I said, it will display a hello world simple printf statement, and it says what is your name. So you can see here a simple print statement inside the parenthesis by inside single quote saying the message hello world, and in the second line you can see print what is your name, which is basically asking the user to enter the name. And once the user enters the name input function, it gets stored in the my name, and print it says it prints back that it is good to meet you plus my name. So it is, we'll see how it gets executed as we execute the program and we compile this program, this whole program in our file editor, right? And in the next line, you can see that it is asking the user, it is printing the length of the name which is entered by the user. And it is also displaying that length to the user, that the length of your name is so and so. Then it is asking the user to enter your age. The user enters their age, and at the end of the program, it prompts the user with a message that you will be so and so in next year or in a year, right? So don't worry about it. We'll dissect this program. We'll see line by line how this program execute. Uh, what is the execution behind the instruction what we are giving in the in a particular line. So here every line is you can see here that is denoted by a particular number, and we'll see how this program runs. So just to save time, what I've done is I've simply copy pasted the same program, and we'll see how this program runs. So let me just open this file. Yeah, here we go. So this is the program. So before we jump into it, is so far the program clear, or the program, do you have at least the overview understanding of the program, or any doubts so far? If you have any doubt, please you are free to unmute and ask the doubt, or else you can put it in the comment. Yeah, anybody? Anybody, any kind of doubt before we move ahead? Okay, Shreya says, sir, please explain once again. Okay, Vibha says no. Harshvardhan says no. Okay, fine. So to explain that program once again, let me explain here in the text editor itself. So this is the program that we are going to execute now. And we'll see how this line, every line in this file editor gets executed by the interactive shell or by our compiler, right? So before that, anybody can tell me what is this first line? Yeah, what is this first line?
Comment line.
It's a comment. Very good. It's a comment line. The very prominent way we can say that it's a comment is the special character here, which is the hash uh, sign, which says that it's a comment, right? And you can see similarly we have comments here, we have a comment here, right? So moving ahead, pretty simple printf statement, like we have discussed, a simple hello world program, which is not even called as a program, it's a simple instruction, right? So print hello world is what we are going to print to the user first, right? So we are just going to greet the user with hello, or just say hello, right? We'll say just hello. Then we are going to print what is your name, and once the user enters its name, it's stored in the variable called my name. So to execute this, let me save this file once again, and to execute this, let me open the PDF here. Yeah. So here you can see once you have saved the file, you can simply press F5 to execute, or you can go to run in the file editor itself. You can go to run window, the run tag that you have at the up top, then you can click on run module. Simple execution process what we see in the most of the compilers. So we go here run, and let's say run module, or you can simply say F5. So you can see here the program has been restarted, and it prompts me that hello and what is your name, right? So let me clear this off, all this unwanted stuff, and let me quit this and start the ideally once again, so that we have a fresh execution. So let's say I open the program, our hello program, and I press F5 to execute it. And it says, hello, what is your name? So let's say my name is Harsh. Okay, so it is good to meet you, Harsh. The length of your name is 5. It's correct, right? So we have 5 characters here. So the length of our name is 5. Now it asks me what is your age. Say uh, let's say I give 30. Okay, so it automatically prompts me, says that you will be 31 in a year, right? So the program is very simple. What we have to understand from this is how whatever values that we are giving it to the compiler, how these values, which are sometimes strings and sometimes integers, are getting converted, and the message that we get from the compiler is actually wherever we require a word or the string, we get a string, and wherever we require an integer, the integer is prompted, right? So how this task is done, we'll divide each and every line, and we'll see how this execution happens, right? So coming up with the first line. So this comes up, this brings us to the our next section, that is dissecting our program. So we'll make use of the same program, and we'll see how each line gets executed. So like so most of you have, few of you have rightly pointed out that the first line is a comment, right? So no doubt it's a comment. The second line is the printf statement, a print statement wherein we print the simple message, let's say hello, and at the same time we are printing the message to the user to enter some string, right? What is that? It is what is your name, and after which the value, the expression, whatever the user enters, will be assigned to a name, the placeholder called my name, using a function called input function, right? So how it is done, the value that we are actually passing here in the function, it's a basically argument, right? So whatever parameters that we pass in a particular function, they are nothing but the arguments, right? So here you can see there is a note that is given by the author that we can also use this function, the print function, to put a blank line. Let's say you want to put a blank line, just a next line or a simple plain black line on the screen, we can just call printf statement with nothing given as the argument or no parameters passed to it, and just a print statement enclosed within the parenthesis will give you the new line, right? So it is just for the information whenever you want to, just have a space in between two lines or something like that. You want to leave a line. It is similar to what we have seen in the C programming, that when we shift to the new line, right, by using a special character called /n, which brings us to the new line, right? So something similar to this, what we can use. So there are different ways, but this is one of the way we can use this printf function, is what author trying to say. So when writing a function name, the opening and closing parentheses are at the end, identify it as the name of the function, right? So whatever the name of the function we give, the opening and the closing of the parentheses will help the compiler understand that this particular name is actually a name of a function. Right, so here we have the input function. Like we mentioned, the input, whatever the user will be entering, will be stored in the variable called myname. Now the thing is how this input function is making use of the input that we are giving or the user is giving. Is it just a simple string, or is it any kind of integer or special characters or any ASCII code or something like that is it storing? So as far as the input function is concerned, input function simply stores the value as the strings, right? So input function, let me show you here. Yeah, so here what we are doing is there's a placeholder that we have named, and you can see here it's in the form of a camel case format. That is, the first letter is a small letter, a lowercase letter, and the second word of the placeholder what we are giving, the first character of the second word is the uppercase letter. So that's the case naming. So printing the username, once we have the username entered using the input function, it says that the fourth line says that the print, it is good to meet you. And you can see here that after good to meet you, there is single quote, which is a closing quote. And after that, we have an operator plus operator followed by the placeholder name, my name. So if I give single quote to my name also, then the my name will be printed as it is, right, as a string. But we want to output the data what is stored in my name. That's why we are giving the name as it is, right? So once the user enters that name, it's the compiler prompts the message that it is good to meet you, followed by the name, and then at the same time it gives you the length of your name, right? So here we are basically making use of the inbuilt function, which is the length, which gives us the length of that particular any particular word that we are passing as a parameter to the function length, right? So here you can see printf statement, the length of your name is followed by another printf statement, len my name. Now you can see we are using two printf statement. This can actually be done in the single line, but the reason behind using printf statement is you can see the length is actually getting printed on the next line, right? So the length of your name is whatever it is on the next line, right? So if we use single printf statement, it is simply print on the same line. So nothing specific in it, right? So here is a simple example. Let's say length of an hello. If I give this as the instruction in the shell, let me give it here in the Python shell, that length of hello, and it simply gives you 5, right? And there is another statement. Let's say yeah, length of, this is a long statement that I'm giving. This is not just one word. This is a complete string, which is a kind of a statement, full statement, and we are asking for the length of this particular statement, right? So I don't know what is the length of this, counting the number of characters, but simply using the simple length function, we can get the length, which is actually 46. So this includes the spaces in between the words also, right? So this is a very popular statement. My very energetic monster just scarfed nachos, right? So this is actually a trick to remember the sequence of the planets we have in the solar system, right? So Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, then Saturn and Neptune, right? So coming back, this is just a matter of fact, the statement. Anyways, so here we have another statement which can give you example of how the printf statement is going to be different in this case, right? So let me just put this statement in our interactive shell and see how it behaves, right? So we have a printf statement that I am, which is into the single quote, plus we are giving 29 as an integer, plus again, and then again years old as a string, right? So when I execute this statement, it gives me an error. Why? Because you can see that it can only concatenate the strings. What we are doing here is along with the strings, we are also including an integer here. So integer is a different data type and a string is a different data type. So it cannot be concatenated because they are two different data types. So in order to convert this same, let me copy paste the same message and let me convert this 29 into a string and not an integer. Now you can see that 29 is not an integer no more, and it has actually become a string now. And now we should be able to get this statement printed on our interactive shell. So you can see here that there is no error, and we can see I am 29 years old. It is perfectly showing as it is because we are concatenating these similar types. That is, all types are string here, right? So that's how different data types can be managed when we are talking about the concatenation or even replication. Right. So the reason why the printf function was giving the error uh, because the expression was trying to pass the printf statement, which is not converting it directly, and integer and string, they were two different data types which were not getting converted implicitly. Right, so that's what we did here. We converted that 29 into an integer, and then it was able to print. Right, so you can see here that we converted that string into the integer into a string, and it was able to uh, give the output. Another method what is given in the textbook is, let me show this once again. Maybe, okay. Let me exit this shell so that the content is visible to you at the end itself. Okay, so let's say I have same statement here, which is actually an error. And if I give this statement as this 29 into the string like this, so what it does is actually it is converting the integer 29 into a string implicitly, and which we are doing it forcefully to make, we are making the compiler do explicitly, not like by default, right? So 29 as an integer is in fact getting converted into a string, and that string will be concatenated with the other two strings beside it, right? And later it will be printed. So hopefully we shouldn't get any error, and it should be able to print correctly. So like you can see here, it is present, it is printing correctly. So another method what I showed you was making the 29 as a string by putting it into a single quote. So you can see here it gives us the same output. So these are the simple instructions, simple examples. You can see here how it can be different. Even a negative number can be converted into a string and can be displayed as a string. So here are simple examples you can go through. So I hope you are making a note of all these, whatever we are discussing. And like I said, the input function always returns a string. Even if the user enters a number, it will store that number as a form of a string, and whenever that variable is prompted to output, then the string, the whatever the value is stored in that particular folder or in that particular variable, the output will be shown in the form of a string. It will be the values which will be there in that particular variable will be in the form of a string. So if we want to convert that string, then we have to make use of, let's say, int data type. Simple example, what it is given is, let's say, the same example what we have used. Let's say spam is assigned with the value 40. So if I give spam as the instruction, you can see it is giving me the value 40 here, right? So if I want to have an integer value of it, what we can do is, you can see here simply that, let's say I give spam as input. I'm asking the user to the input, right? Right. Okay. So let me give let's say spam as 200 something, right? And when I ask for the output spam, you can see here it is in single quote, right? So input function, whenever it will store the values, it will store the value in the form of a string. Unlikely in the previous instruction, you can see whatever values we stored directly, and when we output it, it was showing in the form of an integer. But input function, it stored in the form of a string. So if we want to change it to string, then what we can simply do is, you can see here that spam is assigned. We are using the assignment operator to put the integer value stored in the spam, right? So whatever value is stored in the spam has actually 200, which is not an integer 200, it is a string 200. And then this string 200 is converted into an integer value, and which will be again assigned to the same folder spam. When we execute it, you can see when I asked for the output spam, you can see here that single quote is vanished, and we are simply getting the 200 here, which is actually an integer value and not a string value, right? So these are another few more operations you can see with respect to different operators, multiplication, division, and other operators you can see, and taking up few examples with the decimal values, right? So having said that, the last line of the program, which, let me show the program once again. The last line here, what it does, it concatenates three strings, which is actually the first part is, you can see, that is single quoted in you will be, which is in single quote, and followed by a plus operator and few operations here. We will see what these operations are doing, and then again followed by another string, that is in a year. So what actually happening here is, we'll see bit by bit what is happening. The whatever value that we give as a part of age, value that we give here, input, that is converted into an integer value, because input function stores the value in a form of a string, and we don't want string here because we want an operation to be performed, that is simple plus one operation, that is addition one operation, right? So we want to convert this string age into an integer age. So this complete value will have an integer, and this integer value will be added. One more value will be added to it, increment of 1, which will be in short converted into a string, and that string will be concatenated with the complete string, right? And that allows us, that the printf function allows us to concatenate three strings at the same time and print the result successfully. So we'll see how it is. We'll divide every instruction, every operation bit by bit. So as you can see here, this is our main statement, the instruction that we give to the compiler, right? So once we are into this string, and let's say I enter the age 4. So let me execute the program once again. Yeah. So I run the program, and let's say I give name as Arjun, and the length I say 22. Okay. So it automatically says you will be 23 in a age. Let me give another example. Taking the same example what has been shown in the test book, so that the things are clear to you. Okay, so here we have the program, and once I execute it, let's say my name is Arjun and the age is 4. I'm taking 4 just for an example to explain stepwise how it has been done. So you can see here, you will be 5 in a year, it says, right? So let us go back and see how this 4 is getting executed. So print the next line, print you will be remains this the string as it is inside the function my name, which is the placeholder my age. Sorry, my age. We supplied the value as 4, which is actually in the form of a string because it has been taken with using the input function, and it has stored like this 4 inside the single quote. Now this 4 is getting converted into an integer 4. So you can see here, after this line is executed, you can see this 4 is getting converted into an integer 4, and there is no single quote there. You can see it's not an string anymore. It is an integer value. So this line after execution, inside the parenthesis 4 plus 1, we get 5, and string of 5 is what we execute in the next line. So string of 5 returns back again 5, which is inside single quote, which makes sure that it is a string. Now this 5 is not integer 5, it is string 5, right? So once we execute this line, we get the complete, we get the concatenation of first two strings. We can see here first two strings, that is print you will be 5. Now this concatenation of two strings, after this line gets executed, we concatenate the third part of our string, that is this part in a year, and ultimately ending up in a statement printing that you will be 5 in a year. So I hope this is understood that how evaluation of this value, what we supply using the input function, gets executed in every line, right? So and that's how we get the output as 5 as a string. This is not an integer, this is a string integer. This is a string value, not an integer value. So I hope the things is clear. If any doubt so far, please let me know in the comment section. Any doubts? Shreya, are you clear now? So,
Yes, sir.
okay. So this was a simple, very simple program, but the whole motive here is to make you understand what is the implementation or the background behind it, how every instruction is executed at the back, right? And the input function, how the input function stores the value in what format, and then later how can we use that value to convert into some other format and print back again, right? So hopefully this gives you the understanding, and just the part of the assignment or just for the practice, you can take this question, you can maybe take a screenshot, or uh, let me see whether this can be posted in the comment section. Yeah. Yeah, so this you can take it as a practice question, which I'm giving in the comment section, and you can make a note of it, and later these can be submitted as your assignment, right? So okay, so I want you to do these two questions as the today's homework, you can say, which can later be submitted as the assignment. And not the handwritten code, but the you can say the Python. Ideally, you can execute this program in the Python ideally, and you can save this file in maybe your Google Drive or anything, and later that can be shared as your part of your assignment. Fine. So having said that, let me quickly make you familiar with the Google Classroom. So let yeah. So this is our Google Classroom section. I'll make you available the link. Okay, 42 students have already joined. Good. I hope another remaining 30 students will join soon. So I'm just giving out the link for those who have not yet joined. Okay, I'll make this link available to you. I can see people joining. I think it is already in the comment section, so you can scroll up and click on the link, and you can join this our Google Classroom for our Python application development using Python. Right. So I'll quickly have a walkthrough of how we'll be sharing all the details, how we'll be conducting classes, and how the materials and everything will be made available to you. So as you can see, there are a few tabs up top here. There is stream, there is classroom, there is a tab for people and grades. First, let me confirm is the Google Classroom screen is visible to you all you guys? Are you on the same page? Anyone can?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes, sir.
yeah. So this is from the my end, that is from the teacher's point, that how it looks like. The moment you join this classroom, the layout might be a little different for you, but there'll be few aspects which will be common for all both of us, right? So you can see there are four tabs here: stream, classroom, people, and grades. So in the streams, you'll find streams is, you can say, it is familiar. It is similar to what you see as the Twitter posts or Facebook posts or Instagram posts or something like that. Like whatever you post there, it can be like it is the stream. That is the stream that becomes, right? So classwork is whatever the activities that we'll be doing here. We'll see line by line how are these things. People list, just how many people are involved. You can see here, teacher, I am enlisted. Suppose, for example, that subject has been handled by two faculties, there would have been another teacher added to this. Then we have students here. That is, in your case, this layout might be a little different. And then ultimately we have grade section wherein you have grades for, let's say, assignment marks or quiz marks or IA marks and those. So stream and classroom are two major tabs that we will be using. So whatever updates, whatever information, whatever streams I want to post, I'll be making it available here at the stream. Like you can see, there are already a few posts that I have already made, right? So I have made a syllabus available on 6th of September. You can see the syllabus here. You can download it, take a print or whatever. I'm just making you aware with these things. This is the textbook, soft copy of the textbook, the PDF file that I have made available. You can download it. And also the lectures that we have done previously. So first lecture we had an overview of the syllabus. Second lecture we had an introduction to Python, and also we discussed about the installation of the Python. So you can see here, the moment you click on that, let's say we click on syllabus, you can see here that we discussed about the introduction of application development using Python, and the video that we had, the class that we have recorded, the lecture, it has been made available on the YouTube, and the link is right away here at your single touch. coming back, you can see here the second lecture made available. What is this lecture all about? What we have covered in this lecture? You can see we added introduction to Python, installation of Python ideally. Then we discussed what is programming, what is Python, and right, we had a simple interactive session with the interactive shell, right? And that lecture is available here. So that's all. And here you can see, yeah, day before yesterday's class, that is, I mean, previous class, Saturday's class, you can see whatever we have discussed and the lecture has been made available here, right? So this is the stream section wherein all the post, let's say if any announcement to be done, it can be done here and made available at the your stream tab. It will be made available at your stream side also, student side also, right? In the classroom section, you can see we have different topics at the left hand side. Since we are only in the module 1, you'll see all the things related to module 1. And once we, this is module 1 details, you can see. So first lecture, second lecture, and third lecture in line. Once we have different modules, we'll have different sections here, different topics here, and you'll have all that into one section. So in the future, we'll be like we are using Google Meet now. We will be making use of the Google Meet itself for the lectures, but the link remains same, right? The link will remain same, but you can make use of the link only when you are part of this Google Classroom. So those who have joined the Google Classroom, those who are already part of it, you can make use of this link, which remains same for our meeting. The lectures, right? So you don't have new lectures every time, new lecture link, Google Meet link every time. This is the link that you will be following. And there is also class code, which you can make use of just to join, right? So at the classroom section, we have, I think at your end also, you'll be able to see the class drive folder, which will directly direct you to our Google Drive folder. So you can see I have put the syllabus copy and the textbook here for easy access. So I don't think so this create will be there at your side, because this is just for if you want to post any kind of study material or post some kind of assignment or quiz and other things, right? Questions and so on. So at your end, you will be able to see all these details, whatever content material that we provide, and the stream or the announcements that we do, right? So I hope you get familiar with it. You take some time to go through it, and I would suggest to download the Android app itself. Those who don't have, those who are not using in the laptop or PC, you can simply download the Classroom app, Google Classroom app from the Play Store or whatever OS that you're using, and it can come handy, right? So those who have not yet joined, please join. I'll make the link available again or in the WhatsApp group, right? So those who have not joined yet, I can make the link available. It's not getting shared here once again. I'll make that link available in the WhatsApp group, our 5th semester group. Okay. So I think that's all for today's lecture. Any doubt, anything that you want to ask from your end? Yeah, anybody want to ask anything? Yeah, Prajit, okay, good. Prajit has shared the Google Classroom. So those who have not joined, you can join. Good work, Prajit. So if there is no doubt, shall we conclude the lecture? Please acknowledge whether you have any doubt or we should conclude the lecture. Okay, so I assume there is no doubt. So I think that's all for today's lecture. It says conclude. Okay, fine. Okay, guys, you can leave the meeting.